10 unknown facts about Babylon, ancient mysteries revealed. Hidden beneath the sands of time, shrouded in myth and legend, lies one of humanity's greatest civilizations, Babylon. You've heard the stories of the Tower of Babel and the Hanging Gardens, but the real Babylon holds secrets far more fascinating than the legends. I'm Adam, and today we're diving deep into the forgotten history of this ancient superpower to uncover 10 mind-blowing facts about Babylon that history books don't tell you. From advanced mathematics that still influence our world today, to bizarre medical practices that will make your skin crawl. This isn't your average history lesson. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because after watching this video, you'll never look at ancient history the same way again. Fact number 1. Babylon wasn't originally Babylonian. Most people think Babylon was built by the Babylonians. Seems logical, right? But here's the shocking truth. Babylon was actually founded around 2300 BCE by the Akkadians, then ruled by the Amorites before the actual Babylonian Empire emerged. The city was originally called Babylon and was a relatively minor settlement until King Hammurabi made it his capital and transformed it into an ancient metropolis during the 18th century BCE. Think of it like New York City, a place defined not by who built it, but by the waves of different people who shaped it across centuries. The Babylonian Empire, as we know it, only controlled the city for certain periods, with Assyrians, Elamites, and eventually Persians ruling it at other times. In fact, what most people think of as Babylonian culture is actually a fascinating blend of Sumerian, Akkadian, and Amorite influences, something archaeologists are still sorting out today. Fact number 2. Babylonians invented the 60-minute hour. Look at your watch or phone right now. Ever wonder why we divide hours into 60 minutes and minutes into 60 seconds? That's right. You can thank the Babylonians. While most ancient cultures developed counting systems based on 10 because of our fingers, Babylonians used a sexagesimal system based on the number 60. But why 60? It's actually mathematical genius. The number 60 can be divided evenly by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30, making it incredibly practical for trade, astronomy, and timekeeping. The Babylonians noticed there were roughly 360 days in a year, so they divided the celestial circle into 360 degrees. Each degree was divided into 60 minutes, and each minute into 60 seconds. This system was so effective that when Greek astronomers encountered it around 300 BCE, they adopted it immediately. From there, it spread throughout the ancient world and right into your smartphone's digital clock. Fact number 3. Babylon had the world's first recorded food recipes. Before celebrity chefs, before cookbooks, before even written history in most parts of the world, Babylonians were writing down recipes. The Yale Babylonian collection houses several clay tablets from around 1750 BCE that contain the world's oldest known written recipes. But these weren't your basic cooking instructions. These sophisticated recipes include detailed instructions for stews, broths, and elaborate meat dishes served in the temples and royal palaces. One tablet even includes a recipe for tuhu, a complex meat stew with herbs that required multiple cooking techniques. What's truly fascinating is how familiar some elements feel. Garlic, onions, leeks, and various meats were staples then, as they are now. But other aspects are completely alien to modern tastes, like the liberal use of blood as a thickening agent. These aren't just recipes. They're time machines that let us taste what people enjoyed nearly 4,000 years ago. Fact number 4. Babylonian doctors used symptom directories. When you're sick, your doctor uses symptoms to diagnose your illness. This fundamental approach to medicine wasn't invented by Hippocrates or even the Egyptians. It was pioneered by Babylonian physicians. The Diagnostic Handbook, written around 1050 BCE but compiled from much older sources, contains over 3,000 lines of text organizing symptoms by body part. It starts from the patient's head and works down to the feet, creating the world's first systematic medical examination protocol. These ancient diagnosticians carefully observed symptoms and connected them to prognoses and treatments. The handbook often contains phrases like, "If a person's face is yellow, it is the hand of Shamash. he will recover, or if his chest hurts when he coughs, the patient will die. While their explanations often involve supernatural causes, their observational method laid important groundwork for modern medical science. In fact, neurologists studying these texts have identified accurate descriptions of epilepsy, stroke, and even certain types of migraines. Next time you get a diagnosis, remember you're experiencing a tradition that began in ancient Babylon. Fact number 5. Babylon's famous hanging gardens probably weren't in Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. There's just one small problem. They probably weren't in Babylon at all. Despite decades of archaeological excavations, no physical evidence of the gardens has ever been found in Babylon. What's more, no Babylonian texts mention these supposedly spectacular gardens. However, the Assyrian king Sennacherib did build magnificent terrace gardens in his capital at Nineveh, complete with an advanced irrigation system. Tablets from his reign describe these gardens in detail, including an impressive aqueduct that brought water from mountains over 50 miles away. So how did history get this so wrong? The confusion likely stems from Greek historians writing centuries later, after Babylon had conquered Assyria. They may have misattributed Nineveh's famous gardens to the more well-known city of Babylon. Sometimes history's most famous facts are its biggest mistakes. Fact number 6. Babylonians calculated Jupiter's position using calculus. In 2016, mathematician Mathieu Ossendraver made a stunning discovery. Examining 5 ancient tablets at the British Museum, he realized Babylonian astronomers were using geometric methods to track Jupiter's position, essentially an early form of calculus. This is mind-blowing because these calculations were made around 350 BCE, nearly 1,400 years before European mathematicians like Newton and Leibniz invented calculus in the 17th century. The Babylonians used the area under a velocity-time graph to calculate displacement, the exact same principle taught in modern physics classes. They weren't just tracking planets, they were developing sophisticated mathematical concepts that we consider fundamental to modern science. When Ossendraver published his findings in the journal Science, it forced historians to completely reconsider the timeline of mathematical discovery. The Babylonians weren't just advanced for their time, in some ways they were millennia ahead of it. Fact number 7. Babylonian law protected consumer rights. Everyone's heard of Hammurabi's Code with its famous eye for an eye principle. But buried within this ancient legal text are some of history's first consumer protection laws. If a builder constructed a house that collapsed and killed the owner, the builder would be put to death. If a farmer sold bad seed, he would be thrown in the river. If a tavern keeper overcharged for beer, she would be executed. Okay, so maybe the penalties were extreme by today's standards, but the principle is remarkable. Nearly 4,000 years ago, Babylon recognized that consumers deserved legal protection from unscrupulous business practices. The code also established standards for professional services. Doctors were paid on a sliding scale based on the patient's social status, but were also severely punished for malpractice resulting in death or injury. These weren't just arbitrary rules. They were calculated to maintain social order in one of history's first urban economies, where strangers routinely conducted business with each other. Fact number 8. Babylonians practiced mathematical astronomy, not astrology. Most people associate Babylon with astrology, the belief that star positions affect human affairs. But that's not actually what Babylonian stargazers were doing. Babylonian astronomers were primarily mathematicians who meticulously recorded celestial movements using algebraic methods. They could predict lunar eclipses, planetary positions, and solstices with remarkable accuracy. What we now call Babylonian astrology only emerged in the later periods, particularly after Persian and Greek influences entered their culture. The earlier Babylonians were far more interested in perfect mathematical descriptions of heavenly movements than in fortune-telling. In fact, their astronomical texts show something remarkable: the concept of a universe governed by mathematical rules rather than divine whims. This represents one of humanity's first steps toward a scientific understanding of nature. The true legacy of Babylon isn't mystical horoscopes. It's the radical idea that the universe follows predictable, mathematical patterns. Fact number 9. Babylonians had sophisticated banking systems. Long before Wall Street or the London Stock Exchange, Babylon had a complex financial system that would seem familiar to modern bankers. The Egibi family, who operated from the 7th to 5th centuries BCE, ran what we would recognize today as an investment bank. They accepted deposits, made loans with interest, financed business ventures, and even handled real estate transactions. Babylonians used promissory notes, maintained financial ledgers, and calculated compound interest. They even had a concept similar to limited liability companies, where investors could pool resources for business ventures while limiting personal risk. What's truly remarkable is how these innovations spread throughout the ancient world. When the Persian Empire conquered Babylon in 539 BCE, they adopted many of these financial practices, creating one of history's first standardized economic systems across a vast multicultural empire. From credit agreements to investment portfolios, the financial tools we use today have roots in practices pioneered in ancient Babylon. Fact number 10. Babylon never really fell, it faded away. History books often describe the fall of Babylon as a dramatic end to a great civilization, but the reality is far more nuanced and in some ways more interesting. When Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon in 539 BCE, he didn't destroy the city or massacre its people. Instead, he presented himself as a liberator, maintained local customs, and even helped restore the temple of Babylon's god Marduk. The famous Cyrus cylinder, now in the British Museum, records how he respected Babylonian traditions and allowed religious freedom throughout his empire, often considered one of history's first human rights declarations. Babylon remained an important city for centuries afterward. Alexander the Great planned to make it his eastern capital and died there in 323 BCE. The city continued as a center of learning well into the Parthian period. Babylon didn't end with a dramatic fall. It slowly faded as trade routes changed, new cities grew, and political centers shifted. People still lived among its ruins into the Middle Ages, and Iraqi villages stood on the site until modern archaeological excavations began. This gradual transition, rather than sudden collapse, reminds us that civilizations don't usually die, they evolve. From the world's first recipes to early calculus, from consumer protection laws to sophisticated banking, Babylon was far more than just hanging gardens and ziggurats. Its influence surrounds us daily, often in ways we never realize. The 60 minutes in an hour, the 360 degrees in a circle, even the basic concept that legal systems should protect ordinary people. These all trace back to this ancient civilization. What surprised you most about Babylon? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed learning about these ancient mysteries, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos exploring history's greatest untold stories.